Hello, lovely color seekers. Today we're going to pick a palette, I don't know which one yet, and we're going to create something beautiful from it. Not just a leaf, but an actual subject. Thank you for joining me so far in my 100 Days project, and I'm anxious to get started. Let's go paint. We're going to turn one of my 100-day palettes into a pear today. I'll show you the one I'm going to use. I'm going to use this one because I like the idea of yellow, gray, and burnt scarlet together. And I think that from judging from this leaf, I think it will make a beautiful pear. It looks like I'll be able to get my light yellow values, yet I'll be able to get some strong coloration in there as well. And I want to have both. I want to have some really light areas, some medium areas, and then a really deep dark. And I think this burnt scarlet is going to be really pretty together with all of that. And it's going to give it, you know, the richness that I want it to have. So I have another handmade sketchbook here from Sketchbook Company, and it's just, I've got my pear drawn here. But before I start that, I wanted to show you how to draw a pear. It's pretty easy. I want you to think of an oval. So just an oval on top, and I'm drawing mine dark here so you can see it. And then a circle on the bottom. Now I know it looks weird, but if you softly connect these now, it's basically a pear shape. So I'm doing mine bigger. So I want you to draw it light. So draw your oval here lighter, and then draw your circle here a little larger, and then let's connect them. Along the bottom, remember there's a little bit of a stem. I like to usually just do a little like that so that the stem area is like that. I just want it uneven. And you basically have a pear. I like to add a stem. Doesn't have to be fancy or anything. And there you go. So this is what's drawn in my sketchbook already. I just wanted to show you how easy it is to draw a pear. If you can remember oval sitting on top of a circle, you've got it made. So for this area here, I know I want to start with the lighter values because with watercolor, you want to start light and you want to move into the darker areas. I am going to try to leave some white of the paper because I usually like my objects to have some of that white showing. Now I am going to take advantage of this yellow. You can see that it gets fairly light. See how light it is in some of these areas? So I'm going to use that lightest value. By using that lightest value, that means more water to the paint. So when I go to do my first layering, what I'm going to try to establish is light and medium values. So if you were looking at this leaf, this is the light value, and I would say these are medium. I would say this and this here are more dark areas. So if we covered those, see how light it appears next to the paper? If we cover that, see how dark they appear next to the paper? So that's kind of how you can judge. You can also squint your eyes. So if you squint, what are you really seeing? You'll see the dark areas kind of stand out a little better. And when you squint, this almost looks the same as white paper. So I want you to just remember 3 values, a light, a medium, and a dark. We're going to add the dark at the end. We're going to try to establish some dark, but we're not worried about dark till the end. So what I'm going to do is concentrate here. I love the yellow going into the gray. Now the colors that I'm using are Van Gogh Raw Sienna, Daniel Smith Gray Titanium, and Daniel Smith Quin Burnt Scarlet. That's what I used here, and that's what I'm going to use again. So I'm going to use my bigger brush. I'll need my little brush at the end for that little bitty stem, but for right now it can get out of my way. I'm going to put this in front of me so that I remember values. Remember, this whole piece is about values and about creating just a nice area first. I'm still going to use my water splashes. I'm getting to the end of my book here, so I'm going to stick something under there just to lift it up. That's better, because otherwise all my paint's going to run one direction, and I sure don't want that. There we go. Okay, on my palette here, I have the raw sienna, the burnt scarlet, and the gray titanium. What I'm going to start out with is the yellow. Remember, I want it watered down. And I'm working with a pretty big pear, so you need a pretty good area. I have another mixing plate here if I need it. I might as well pull that up now. There we go. So a lot of water here. Okay, I want to remember that the sun, I'm going to have my sun coming from this side, which means it's lighter over here and it gets darker over here. And remember, this is a round object. So because it's round, just think of your fist. As the light is hitting this area, it's going to be shaded over here. I've got my light up here, so let's see if we can do that. So see how this is lighter, and then this area here is a little darker. So I just want you to think about that. Light on this side, dark on this side. I'm trying to save some areas. Remember, I want to save some of that light area, kind of like that. I'm going to add this and just a touch of that burnt scarlet. I want a little bit of orange and not that much. There we go, that's pretty. Okay, I'm going to pick up some of this color now and just lay it in there while it's wet. I want everything to kind of play nice together at this point. Shaping my bottom pretty here. I'm watching up here to see if it starts to dry, then I need to act on it. Okay, I'm going to splash. Now, I like to splash a lot. You guys know that from watching the 100 Days with me. Okay, I want to soften this edge here. Okay, I'm judging right now, like where do I need more color? I need to soften this edge of the pear so that it comes up to a point. You know, so my circle starts up here. Soften down there. At this point, I want a light spot. I've got another light spot here, and I'm really happy with the way that looks. So I'm going to add just a touch of orange up here. Okay, before this dries now, I'm going to add a little bit more yellow to this. I'm going to add a touch of gray because I want it a little duller. There we go. And I'm going to come in and just add, look, see how muddy that color looks? This is going to be nice for the darks. The more colors you can get on it when it's wet, the more it's going to blend. So right now everything's wet, so it's just going like this into one another. It's not really separating or anything like that. It's not drying, it's just giving us really pretty values. Okay, let's see. Can you see how wet this is? See the shine right there? So I don't want to add water yet. I do want to add more water to it, but not just yet because there's a lot of water on here. I'm letting this kind of run down. I've got a big puddle here. Okay, I've got an ugly edge here. I want to shape that up, fix that. I've got quite an ugly edge up here as well. Let's bring that edge down. While it's still wet, I can do that. I will fix that at the end. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, I'm going to dry this for just a second because I still want to add more water to this. It's flat for me, so I need to get some of that water off first. Okay, so what's happening here is it's drying here, but I need to splash. So let me splash. I'm splashing now that it's semi-dry, and you'll see right away it starts to move away from the water, which is exactly what I want. If I had dried it a little bit longer, it wouldn't be wet underneath, so I wouldn't be getting, see all the little water drops falling right now? I need to lift it and see how it's doing. Let's put a couple more in here. You can be deliberate with them. I want a big one right here. There we go. Okay. I'm liking that a lot. So do you see all that texture? And see all the wet drops? You can see how wet the top still is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry this and then I will come back. It's dry now, and before I go any further, I want to erase my pencil lines. I can still see them, but I want to get them off of there as much as I can. I'm going to leave my stem line, but I want this to disappear. And I want you to see how beautiful this dried. Do you see all the watermarks? Not just these watermarks where they're really big, but see up here too where you've got the light and the little bit darker. And you'll notice right through here, I don't have any color. So this, and this is the white of the paper showing. Look at all that beautiful color cauliflowers. I like that. That's what I really like about doing this, is the splashes add a lot of texture for me. And you can see that, remember I talked about the light, medium, and dark. So look, here's the light. Notice that it's lighter on this side, and then it goes to the medium side. See how much darker this side is, and the bottom as well. Now, if all of this cauliflowerness or roughness bothers you, there are plenty of things that you can do. First of all, don't splash as much as I did. That's number one. You can also splash whenever it's wetter. Remember, I dried mine first and then I splashed. So by that, what you'll get is you'll get softer areas like this. See where the water is more, it kind of pushed the paint instead of making it like a cauliflower like this. So if you splash while it's wet, you're going to get a softer look. But I usually like more texture to my work. However, if this still bothers you, you can take this mix right here and you can cover over it. I'm going to do just a little bit of that. I'm going to cover over this side right here. So with this mix, I'm going to add just a little bit more water, and I'm going to softly come over it. I like that one. Let's do a little bit on the bottom. And you see how it got rid of it? It's still there, but it's toned it down a little bit. Okay, so see, it's not as in your face as it was before. It's still there because I don't want to obliterate it, but that's how you would go about covering that. Now I need to dry that again. And before we add any more color, I've got this one little area right here. Do you see where this is not a pretty shape at all? It kind of comes out right there. I'm going to try to get rid of that. By doing that, I'm going to take a firm brush. So the white brushes here are a lot firmer than my quill brush here. The quill brush has softer bristles. The white brushes seem to have a little stiffer bristles. So I'm dipping it in clean water, and then I'm going to really press down and make my chisel edge nice and straight. So let's see, do you see how pointed that is? That's what I want. So I'm going to lay it here and scrub gently. I'm going to dip again in water, flatten it again, and then I'm going to blot with a paper towel, clean paper towel. You don't want to do this too much, especially wet on wet, because what will happen is you'll start to rip your paper, and you don't want that. Okay, so let's have a look at that. See that the point now is gone? The point was right here, but it's gone now. I'm happy now. It doesn't take much to make me happy. Okay, so now what we want to do is establish mediums to darks only. We're going to stay out of our light area here. I might bring a couple shadows down over the top, but this area right in here, for sure, I want to stay out of, because now remember, that's where the light is hitting it. So we want to establish the shadows back over this way. So for that, add some more of this burnt scarlet. I'm going to touch in a little yellow. That's really nice and dark. I'm going to add some of that gray. Gray kind of dulls it down a little bit. And you saw I was using the wrong brush, right? So let me get this flat brush out of my hand here. There we go. Want just a little bit more red or burnt scarlet. And I added a lot more water with this brush. So let's get the mix back to where I want it. Having a scrap piece of paper to test it. Because we want color, we don't want a lot of water. Oh yeah, that's nice, but it's a little too yellow. I'm gonna add just a little bit more of the burnt scarlet here. That's better. Now you can see how dark that is, these puddles here. If they were light like that, that means I would have too much water, so I would have to add more color. Now this is going to take a little bit of gumption. So here's when you're talking to yourself, I want you to say, I can do this. I can do this. And what I'm going to do is put a giant dark mark straight down, okay? So here we go. Ready? I can do this. I want to go up here and let's get that nice dark and shaded here. And then I want to come straight down and start fanning it out. I want a little more orange now, a little more yellow, a little more gray. Okay, more water, and we're going to do it again, but deeper. Okay, that looks good. Look at that dramatic little bit. Okay, I want to put some of this down here. I'm cleaning off my brush, just water now, just water. I'm going to soften the edge here, soften this out here, soften this so that it goes smooth. I love this bottom down here, so I want to add just another one there. I'm going to take some of this color now and blot in some color. Just like we've been doing. We want to leave some dark edges. Rinsing my brush, just water, and pulling that up a little bit. I want to pull that down a little bit. Pull this in, staying off of that light area here. Okay, I'm going to add just a little bit of splashes, not even splashes. I'm going to take my brush, it's got some water on it. And I'm looking at areas that where the dark and light kind of is. Here's a nice light area. Let's water that. Okay, look how beautiful that looks. Now this is a little light, so what I'm going to do is touch a little bit of the yellow here. Yeah, let's just tone that little spot down. That's better. I'm going to take some of that yellow and make it match up here a little bit, just giving a little bit more depth to that yellow. Okay, while the pear is drying, I want to add a little bit of shadow underneath here. So that I'm going to do with the gray. I think I'm going to use gray and just a little bit of the, see this color right here? So this is the gray, and I need to add a little bit of the burnt scarlet. I like that color. So let's add just a little bit of this to that. And I want a little bit more gray. There we go. Okay, it's a pear. Remember, the light is coming from this side, so it's going to be darker over here, but it has to go under the pear. So for that, I'm just going to bring it down. I try not to go past the pear, so if you drew a straight line down, I try to stay within that. And I'm going to add some darks. Okay, got a little bit of area there I need to fix. There we go. So what that does now is it sets the pear down on the ground, and that's what I wanted. You can always take a paper towel and just lighten the shadow a little bit. Got a little dark there. I'm watching my water. I'm going to add the dark stem now. For that, I'm looking at the mixes, and I kind of like this color here. So that is the gray titanium going towards the raw sienna. So it's more gray titanium and just a little bit of the raw sienna. So let's do a little bit of gray titanium and a little bit of the raw sienna. Ooh, that's a nice darkness. You see that? I need to turn my book. I find it easier to pull. So let's go up here. Right where it touches the pear, I'm going to go into some burnt sienna, or burnt scarlet, sorry about that. I'm going to touch a little bit of the burnt scarlet on the edge there. I'm going to just blot, try to get it lighter, see where it took a little bit of that off. Good. All right. While this is still semi-wet, I'm going to come in here again. Yeah, it's still a little wet, and I'm going to deepen that just a little bit. I kind of like that color that we mixed for the stem. I'm going to let that sit just a minute, and then I'm going to lift some of that off. I want it a little lighter right through here. The reason why is I like that mark right there. Let's have a look. So you can see the stem. That looks nice. It looks, I darkened that, remember, with that burnt scarlet, just to give it a little divot for the stem to go into. Now I want you to look at all the mottledness up there. Isn't that lovely? And then I've got a really nice dark line here that kind of, where I just lifted off, it kind of disappears. and then it goes deep again towards the bottom of that pear. And look at this light side here. It's medium value, then it goes to light, and then it goes to medium again, and then it goes to dark. So when you are working with edges like this, and edges are really important to me as an artist, I find that I call them lost and found edges. This is a lost edge because it disappears into the paper. This is a found edge, okay, because it's a definite edge. They can also be hard and soft edges. This is a soft edge because there really is no edge. This is a soft edge because the values are very close to one another. This is a hard edge because it's definite, light and dark. This is a hard edge up here because you've got that hard line of paint to the white of the paper. This and this are softer edges. So on my leaf, I have hard and soft edges as well. So you can see where this kind of goes and blows out there, that's a soft edge. This I still consider a soft edge because it's not hard like this edge or like this edge. So these are hard edges or very found edges because they're deep. So that here is a soft edge. So whenever I'm doing paintings of any kind, even on a simple object like this, like a pear or a leaf, I try to have those little edge differences because for me it makes my art a lot more interesting. Yes, I could have painted this solid yellow and acquired shapes and values and all of that. But I really like that you're wondering, why is the light so bright here? Maybe it's sitting by a window. You don't know. But I like the form that it gives this. It gives it such a nice richness here. And then you have this really dark, beautiful value. And for me, when you have values like that, it always makes me wonder, like, why is it so extreme? Now, I could definitely come back with this yellow mix and do a softer mix and just wash it in there, just like how we got rid of some of the texture on the pear. I could do that. And all it's going to do is it's going to give me a really soft value like this up here. Right? And then that's just eliminating the paper. But remember that I said I wanted to keep some of the paper in here. So I have this big area of full paper. This area here has paper, like the white of the paper. I have a little bit of area here and here of white paper, but the rest is filled with paint. And I just think that, you know, it adds interest, and I like that a little bit. Now that my stem is dry, I'm going to add a little bit of this coloration, a little bit of that burnt scarlet to it, and I'm going to make this line a little bit heavier. There we go. Okay, I'm happy with that. So this is how I do a simple pear. And I wanted to share with you a new course I have. It's called Pears and Leaves. So let me clear the table, and I'm gonna do a little plug for myself here. With Pears and Leaves, we do fun little color charts where we're just mixing colors, and just like we're doing the color mixing here that you're watching me do for the 100 days, we do pretty much the same thing, only it looks like this. So we're taking the colors and we're adding a little bit of at a time, and we're making different spokes in the wheel. Think about it like that. So I've got a orange color and my yellow color. So you can see how fun those are, and you know I enjoy doing those colors. So just like we started the pear here, in the Pears and Leaves class, we work with doing 5 big pears. They take up a full sheet, and we start just like this, just like we did our pear in this demonstration. And once we go from here, we're going to do wet on wet, we're going to do glazing, dry onto wet, and some lifting. And what happens to these is they turn into this. Just like we explored all the values here, you can see the values are here. We've got the light, we've got the mediums, we've got some darks, light, medium, medium, dark. And we go over all these different techniques on these pears. Now this is just a warm-up before we even get to the lessons. But I wanted us to get used to color. I wanted us to get used to being bold. Remember that little bit of gumption. I've got this, I can do this. So that's what we discuss in the class. So we do pears, and then we also do leaves. So this is the set of leaves that we're doing. And again, it explores values and mixing colors and splashes and keeping the white of the paper. You can see some of the white of the paper there. So if you enjoyed my little pear demo today, I would love for you to sign up for my class, Pears and Leaves. The link is down below. And thank you so much for being here. I enjoyed showing you another demonstration using my color palettes because I didn't want them to just be about leaves. I actually wanted to create an object so you can see it put into practice. And I like that. That is the whole point of these books, is to get me excited about the colors and the range of colors. And you see that and that. This came from this, which came from this. So thanks for watching, and I hope you're inspired to do a pair of your own.